Hello, Disney Cruisers. It's Robin from the Go-To family, and I'm coming to you today with a new vlog. I just got off the Disney cruise 2 weeks ago. I did the 7 days on the Disney Fantasy on the high seas, so it was a Halloween cruise. And I'm here to give you my review. For some context, this was my 7th sailing. Also, this was my 3rd sailing post-COVID, and the rest of my sailings were pre-COVID, so I kind of understand how the ships were prior to COVID and after COVID too. So the first part, I'm going to talk about the ship and its overall appearance and cleanliness. This is one thing I love about Disney Cruise Line. I've sailed competitors before, and they just can't compare to the cleanliness of the fantasy ship especially. I just love that it's so cleanly, and you always see people cleaning, and literally there's never a dirt mark on the floor or anything like that. The Fantasy still looks like a great ship. She's well taken care of. There's not a lot of wear and tear. The staterooms on the Disney Fantasy are always clean, and I really love their design and the actual size of them. We stayed in a family veranda because we were 5 people. I sailed with my mom and my 3 children, and they were really clean too. So let's get into the food review part of this vlog. I'm going to start with Cabanas. So when we did get on the ship the first day, we did eat lunch in Cabanas. I will say that I found the selection during that lunch a little limited. There wasn't as many options. I don't remember pre-COVID how many options there were on the first day, and post-COVID, I thought like the cruise I took in April, there was a little more options on the first day. They weren't bad options. They were limited. I don't know. I usually not that picky on the first day because I just know how overworked the cast are. I mean, the servers wake up to give breakfast. They're doing lunch in Cabanas. Then they're doing 2 dinner seatings at night. I admire them, and I don't know how they do it. They're just amazing. So I know maybe why the selection on the first day at Cabanas might be a little limited. So that didn't really bug me at all. Other than that, I found Cabanas was actually better this cruise than the other post-COVID cruises. The selection was pretty good. I found the food quality really good. Sometimes, because it is buffet, things can feel like they were sitting out there, sometimes a little more. I didn't really feel that much on this cruise, and overall I thought the Cabanas food was really good. The fast service food outside now, where you can get hot dogs, chicken fingers, and hamburgers, I thought that was also really good. It was also really fast, and I thought the quality was the same as my pre and post-COVID cruises. Okay, now let's get to the food. In the 3 main dining rooms, there's the Enchanted Garden, there is the Royal Court, and there's Animators Palette. The Fantasy sails for 7 days, so you usually visit one of these restaurants 3 times and the other 2 times. The food in the main dining room, I think, is good. And I have traveled all around the world and tried food from many different countries, from Vietnam to Europe, Italy, Greece. I've traveled around the United States, so I know food, I would say. And I know what to expect from food and what I'm looking for when I'm going on a cruise. And I feel, for me, the food is great. There's nothing really wrong with the food. Is it fine dining? No, I wouldn't classify it as fine dining, but I don't really expect that, do I? You're on a cruise, it's mass food coming out for a large amount of people, so there's only so much seasoning they can put on things and so on. And if you're looking for that fine dining experience, they do have Palo and Remy on the top of the ship. That's only for adults. I did feel like all my dishes were good. There were some dishes this time around that were always consistently good on past sailings that weren't as good this time, which I found really odd, because I have my staple dishes I usually get that I know no matter what, this dish is going to be really good. One of my favorite dishes usually is the beef Wellington, that's also in Animators palettes, and I thought that was just okay. I don't know if it's because they have a lot of new staff, and I know this industry is really understaffed right now. I don't know if that's the reason. And I really think the key to having good dishes and not having a bad experience when ordering dishes from the main dining rooms is to make smart choices. And I don't want to say some people don't make smart choices, but there's certain things I'm just not going to order off a cruise menu on any cruise ship, not just the Disney Cruise Line. For example, salmon's not really one I kind of go for. because I just don't feel like that's going to be the best dish personally. When they're mass producing dishes for a large amount of people, you have more chances of it being dry or just more fishy, in my opinion. So I'm not really ordering salmon, but there are really good fish dishes, like the scallop dish that is in Enchanted Garden is one of my favorite dishes, and I always order extra scallops. So it doesn't always apply that I won't order seafood, but salmon is one I tend to stay away from. Another seafood option, and I think many people choose this one, and I think it's a mistake, is the Enchanted Garden. I believe they have this lobster ravioli or lobster pasta dish, and there's no way I would actually go for that. It doesn't sound like it's going to be a good dish on the cruise ship. And so I feel like sometimes you have to make these smart decisions. And oftentimes, if you ask your waiter like what they like more or what they recommend less, they will be honest. So always be sure to ask your head server what he recommends, because that's one way not to go in the wrong way when choosing dishes. They know these dishes, they serve them every night for months on end, so they know what's the best dish and not. And if you're not sure about it, there is no problem in ordering extra plates. And this is not something that your servers really mind. I don't like doing it all the time. Sometimes I don't I don't want to eat too much. So, but even my head server this time, I was like, I don't know which one I want. I don't know if I want the lamb shank tonight or I want just a pasta. And he said, you know what? I'm giving you both. I'm like, oh, I don't know. That much food. And he's like, no, I'm giving you both. So sometimes they won't even give you the option. Like I said, they really want to make this your best experience. They don't want you to have a poor main course that you didn't like. So I do recommend ordering more than one. Since we're talking about the main dining room, I want to get into the servers, the head server, the assistant server, and the actual dining room host that is kind of like the manager of the whole entire area in each dining room. So our head server and our assistant server and the head maitre d' were absolutely amazing this time. We had no issue with them. We loved them. Our assistant server made origami like 2 nights for our kids. I mean, he even stayed extra because my kids were like, more. I'm like, no, he has to go. He has a job. Like, I kind of felt bad, but he's like, oh no, it's no issue. And he made them like 3 or 4 different types of origami figures. Our head server gave us a little puzzle to put together for my mom and I, more of an adult kind of brain teaser puzzle. Our assistant server did magic tricks. So they went all out. So I would say our head servers this time were one of the best we had in our 7 cruises. It can be hit and miss, but usually I think it's not a miss. Usually it's a hit. So, and I know just how hard these people work, and I take into account that. I will say in April, our server was, I hate criticizing, but I want to be honest here. He was not the best server. And I get that maybe this was his first week, second week, or in general, sometimes they just might not like the job that much. And they are like, oh my gosh, what did I get myself into? And they're here now and they're serving, and you really have to, they never stop. And you have to be kind of a people person in a sense, like talking to your patrons and so on. And it's not an easy job. So I hate giving any criticism, but he didn't have a hand on things. And I don't want to really get fully into it, but he wasn't our best server. Now let's get into the maitre d' or the basically head manager of the whole entire dining room. That was Devin for us. And he is a very popular figure or employee on Disney Cruise Line. I've actually heard people talking about him before we actually met him. So when I met him for the first time, I'm like, I know who you are. I've read about you. People love you. And they were really right. He was amazing. He's the best head maitre d' I've ever had in all our cruises. I mean, sometimes it feels like they just come around and say, oh, how was your day? And that was it. Devin is absolutely a star to the Disney, Cruise Line, and he definitely deserves his job position. So he is one of the hardest working I've ever seen. He's personable. If you have any issues whatsoever, even if you don't have an issue, he wants to know, oh, is there anything I can make this trip better for you? I mean, we weren't even complaining. We just, he's like, is there anything under the moon literally I could do tonight to make your experience better? And my mom actually likes sitting a little more in the center of the room, or not behind where they're actually putting the food out in these little booths and stuff area where the food is sitting and stuff. And she said, well, that was the only thing I could really think of. It doesn't really matter. I like being, more in the center of the room. He's like, wait, no, it's okay. I'll solve that and it'll be done tomorrow. So he's really on top of things. And all the rest of our holiday, all the rest of the 6 nights, our dining location where we were sitting was absolutely fantastic. I've never sat in these seats. Like, for example, in Animators Palette, we were sitting right under the screens. So for the Crush show, where Crush speaks to the patrons and stuff, he spoke to us because we were right under the screen. He really went beyond what we even expected. Next, I'm going to talk about the entertainment on board. So the entertainment for adults and children. So for children, there's the kids clubs, there is Oceaneers Club and Lab, then there's Edge and Vibe. So Ella and Rose, my twin children, actually spend a lot of time in Oceaneers Club. They love it. So there's nothing I can say negatively about that. They usually have to pull them out. I really do feel like these clubs are what set Disney apart from the other cruise lines, and the quality is still there post-COVID, so I don't feel much has really changed about going to a club if you're a kid. The only thing I will say is that they don't provide meals yet, which they used to do pre-COVID. Like if your kids wanted to eat lunch there, or if they got hungry, or if they want to have supper there, they would provide meals. They're not doing that yet. I don't know if it's coming back. Ava, my eldest daughter, who is 11, she really, really liked Edge this time around, to the point that I didn't see her, which I was kind of a little upset about because, she's still 11. And, I'm not willing to let her go too much yet, but I do realize she's, becoming a preteen and a teenager. So she really, really enjoyed it, which was kind of interesting because in April, she hated it. She literally hated everything about it. I don't know why. I think she just maybe maturity or something, but it was interesting to see the difference between April and October, because she went from going to the Oceaneers Club and liking it to wanting to be an Edge every single moment and making tons of friends, and she just really had a blast. So if your children are a little older, like 13 and 11, 12, 13, they're really gonna like Edge. You can make a lot of friends if your child is like somewhat outgoing. They'll make lots of friends. She was always hanging around with other girls on the ship, and she had a lot of fun. In terms of activities, there's lots of family activities, from trivia. Kids can even take part in bingo with you. There's different crafts and things around the ship. We don't really do those things as much. We did do the bingo one day for one of the jackpots. I did find the room was a little overwhelming. It was packed. I've never seen it so packed, I guess because it was one of the jackpot nights, and I don't usually go on jackpot nights. I usually go during the day too, but there's just so many people and it started late, so I thought it was overwhelming. I still had fun, but I don't know if I would go during that time frame. I think it was at 6:30 at night, so I don't know if I would do that one again. But the kids generally have fun during that event. And like I said, I can't really comment on trivia for families, things like that. We don't generally hang around those things. My kids like going to the kids club better or hanging around the pool. Now, for the adult entertainment on the Fantasy, there's Europa. That's the adult section. And Europa has La Piazza. It has Ooh La La. It has the Tube. It has the Skyline Lounge. And it has Gills. When the kids are in the kids club at night, this is where I usually hang. And in the Tube, they have nightly entertainment. I will say, post-COVID, the entertainment's just not what it used to be pre-COVID. And maybe I just remember it differently. Maybe I'm wrong, but I just feel like they had more variety acts. They used to have more comedy, more maybe a stand-up comedian, just a little more variety. And I feel like it's more trivia based now and kind of silly shows. I mean, the hosts of the shows are really great. I mean, the head hosts, they're funny and stuff. I'm just not really into these kind of trivia and kind of silly interactive group kind of games and stuff. I much prefer just sitting and watching a variety act or a comedian or something so it might just be a personal preference, but I'm really not into how many variety acts they've had as of recent. And I do think prior to COVID, there was more variety type of acts than there is now. Okay, so let's get into the theme part of the vacation, because we were on the Halloween on the High Seas, which is celebrating Halloween during your actual cruise. So there's different activities. The characters dress up in Halloween costume. The Sanderson sisters are there. It's Minnie, Daisy and Clarabelle, who dress up as the Sanderson sisters. So you can't find that during other times of the year. So Halloween on the high seas is definitely a special time to take a cruise if you want to see different types of activities too. A lot of them are Halloween based, and they actually have a Halloween night in terms of dressing up in a costume, and we went all out, and it's not usually something I do. I went all out. I was Cruella. I'm going to put a picture right now, and it took me a little while to do this. I actually got stopped a lot, and it's kind of odd because I'm kind of an introvert slightly, but the kids really wanted me to dress up, so I went all out. Kind of like my cruise door too, which you can see right now. And on the top deck, they have a special Halloween show, and they have trick-or-treating right before that show too.
See, we got into the spirit of things too. So what do you say? Are we all dressed up and ready to do the masquerade dance? Great, because here we go!
Get up on your feet and put your hands together for Minnie Mouse! Chip and Dale!
Show on the top deck was really great. It was fun. I did think the trick-or-treating could have aligned better with the show. That's the only criticism I'll say, because the show started while my kids were still trick-or-treating. My eldest daughter Ava taking Ella and Rose around, and they didn't get back in time, and I was kind of worried and stuff. Where are they and stuff? So I went looking for them. So maybe if they make the trick-or-treating a little earlier would kind of make a little more sense so no one misses the show. They also, in the Oceaneers Club, had a Halloween party that my kids went to, and they said they enjoyed that too. I think the decorations are really great on Halloween on the high seas. In the main atrium, they have a Halloween tree that lights up, and they actually have a special event for that lighting and stuff. And on the Halloween night, the characters do dress up, so you will get different pictures with Mickey, Minnie, Donald, Goofy, and so on in their Halloween costumes too. And like I said, the Sanderson sisters from Hocus Pocus do make appearances throughout the week, so it's not just on Halloween night. I think they made a total of 3 to 4 different appearances. I'll just note that the line was pretty long to see them, so get there early. And if you really, really want to see the Sanderson sisters, I'm not really willing to wait in super long lines, so I can't show you any pictures with them or anything like that, but something you can do if you're interested in. Lastly, I'll kind of just talk about like the ports and what we did on those days. So I can't really talk about like all the ports. I don't like getting off at Cozumel. We stopped at Cozumel in Mexico. It's not my favorite port. Some people love it. It's kind of a personal preference, but we never get off at Cozumel. And honestly, here's a tip if you haven't cruised at all. The ship is much more empty on cruise days. So if you're really there to experience the ship, which is kind of why I cruise. I don't really cruise to go to these cruise ports and stuff. I've kind of traveled to them a lot of times, and I just really love the Disney ship. So I am there to, stay on the ship. So if that's something that you want to do and not really go to the ports and get off, you won't be lacking anywhere. We have so much fun just staying on the top deck and going to the pool when it's less packed. And the aqueduct, it's so much easier to go on the aqueduct on port days. The line is literally half. I mean, this time I got on at one point and I waited maybe 5 minutes. So sometimes there's not even a line to get on the aqueduct. So I love staying on the ship on cruise port days. We also headed to Grand Cayman. I love Grand Cayman. I did not get off this time around because one of our favorite clubs there, beach clubs, has closed. It was really Royal Palms. It was a great beach club, and they just really haven't replaced that beach club with any competitor of the same caliber yet. So we decided to stay on. We also went to Falmouth in Jamaica. We did get off the ship this day just to stretch our feet kind of. We kind of went around the shops, went jewelry shopping. I actually got this little necklace that I'm wearing now. I don't know if you can see it. It's right there. It wasn't that expensive, and it's duty free. Other than that, we got back on the ship. We had lunch on the ship because the line at Margaritaville was quite long there, and the food isn't like spectacular. It's not much better than, Cabanas, and Cabanas is free, so we decided to go eat at Cabanas instead. Where we do get off the ship, though, is Castaway Cay, and we will never stay on the ship at Castaway Cay. I absolutely love Castaway Cay. It's one of my favorite things about taking a Disney cruise is the private island, Castaway Cay. We did the Stingray experience. I've done it before. It's great. It's fun. We had a lot of fun this time because the first time around, Rose was really scared to get in the water with the stingrays. This time, she was kind of like, oh, last time, I was scared, but now I know they're okay. I'm going to get in the water. And the person that was helping us feed the stingrays, he was actually one of the best I've ever had. He was really interactive, and he spent a long time making sure everyone got to feed a stingray. So he was really, really great. And I think this was our best stingray experience. The weather was kind of rainy in the morning, and it looked like, oh my gosh, we're not getting off this ship today. But the weather was really beautiful after like 10 o'clock. So I feel really lucky we had a great sunny day on Castaway Cay. The water is amazing there. The snorkeling's amazing. I just love the whole experience. There's also Cookies, which is the main kind of outdoor restaurant at Castaway Cay. The food here there's not as much variety. There's usually hamburgers, hot dogs, ribs, which I actually adore the ribs there. They're really good. So I recommend you get there a little early because they run out fast. The ribs, and there's roasted chicken. There's kind of three different types of salads, which I'm not a huge fan of. And then they'll have kind of simple desserts like a brownie and other cookies and so on. I think the food is okay. It's kind of like an outdoor experience barbecue. There's other things you can also enjoy food-wise on the island. They have fresh fruit. My daughter loves getting the mango. They also have self-serve ice cream like they do on the cruise ship. So you can have as many ice creams as you want. There are a bar, the main bar, that, they make great drinks there too that we enjoy. So my Castaway Cay experience is really great. It's fun to also pose for pictures with the characters in their kind of beach attire. I especially love taking that beautiful shot with Mickey when he's in his kind of Jeep car on the beach right in front. It's a perfect shot in front of the Disney ship. So I highly recommend you walk past that. It's next to the main shop. Right before the Stingray experience. He's usually there in the morning taking those pictures, and I really think that's probably one of the best family picture setups you can get during your whole entire holiday on Disney. Okay, that's going to do it for this review. So I really did enjoy our experience. I highly recommend you take a Disney cruise. I think the experience is just as enjoyable as it was pre-COVID. Yes, there are some things missing, like that nightly entertainment, like I said, but it doesn't greatly affect my holiday. Sometimes the food wasn't as good. Certain dishes I liked prior weren't as good this time around, but overall, the food was still great. Didn't have a bad night on the cruise ship, eating overall. I really loved Halloween on the high seas. I really recommend taking that cruise if you can sail on Disney Cruise Line during that time of the year when they have those special sailings for Halloween. If you have any more questions about my cruise, about cruising on Disney Cruise Line in general, I've been on 7 cruises, so leave me a comment in the comment section below, and I'll be happy to help you out in any way. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the Go-To Family channel, and hit the bell for notifications. Thanks for watching. See you on the next one.